Hare Krishna. Somebody can please lead the invocation prayers.
Prabhu, may I do it?
Yeah.
Om Anyana Timirandasya Jnananjana Selakaya Chaksurunmalitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vande Ham Sri Guru Sri Yutapata Kamalam Sri Guru Vaishnav Shah Sri Rupam Sagaratam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tamsa Jeevam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sakitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpati Gopisa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Kaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Risabhranu Sutta Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarupyascha Kripa Sindhubhayavacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming. So today we will first discuss Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9, the Catuh Sloki verses of Srimad Bhagavatam is essentially the crux of our discussion today. And then later I will also aim to answer some of the inquiries submitted by you all devotees. And towards the end, I will also give you a link for contributing to the Kirtan event if you are interested to contribute. The Kirtan is planned for February 28, last Saturday of February, for the holy event that is coming up just before the God Purnima. So chapter 9 is titled Answers by Citing Lord's Version and is divided into 7 parts. Part 1 is verses 1 to 3, answers to Parikshit's first question. So Parikshit Maharaj question in 2.8.7 was, how did Jiva, who is spiritual, attain a material body? Part 2 is verses 4 to 8, setting the platform for Brahma. Part 3 is verses 9 to 18, Lord Brahma's darshan of Vaikuntha. Part 4 is verses 19 to 24. Lord is in pleasure and invites Brahma to ask for benedictions. Part 5, verses 25 to 30. Questions by Lord Brahma. Part 6, verses 31 to 38. Lord speaks, Catuh Sloki, concludes, and disappears. Part 7, verses 39 to 46. Catuh Sloki further expanded in Parampara. So this chapter 9 will run very, very fast, with straightforward until we come to the Catuh Sloki discussions. Like first Brahmaji will ask inquiries and then the Catuh Sloki verses are the answers. Until that time, chapter 9 will run very fast and is straightforward. Shivangi, verse 1 translation.
One second, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Text 1. Translation. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, O king, unless one is influenced by the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no meaning to the relationship of the pure soul and pure consciousness with the material body. That relationship is just like a dreamer seeing his own body working. Hare Krishna.
So relationship between body and soul is unreal, is just like a dream. Some may argue that soul is factual, body is factual. So where is the issue? The issue is considering the body as oneself. That is the problem. This is not the fact. Body is not the self. When one understands that he is not this body, then gradually he develops a relationship with the Lord. Then it becomes meaningful. Pragya, verse 2.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Text 2. The illusioned living entity appears in so many forms offered by the external energy of the Lord. While enjoying the modes of material nature, the encaged living entity misconceives thinking in terms of I and mine. Hare Krishna.
Afflicted by Maya, the Jiva appears to be in different forms, the 8.4 million forms, and suffers due to misconceptions. Pragya will read the purport last paragraph, which starts the different positions of living entities.
Dear Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. The different positions of the living entities in the material world under multifarious manifestations of bodies are due to the misconception of mine and I. The Karmi thinks of this world as mine, and the Jnani thinks I am everything. The whole material conception of politics, sociology, philanthropy, altruism, etc., conceived by conditioned souls, is on the basis of this misconceived I and mine, which are products of a strong desire to enjoy material life. Identification with the body and the place where the body is obtained under different conception of socialism, nationalism, family affection, and so on and so forth, is all due to forgetfulness of the real nature of the living entity, and the whole misconception of the bewildered living entity can be removed by the association of Sukhdev Goswami and Maharaja Parikshit, as all this is explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I, me, mine. So Narad Muni has also already inquired about this point, that why is Jiva so infatuated with I, me, mine, is because of the jiva being afflicted by Maya. So the solution to get out of this misconception and entanglement is given in verse number 3. Essentially, bhakti is the solution. Matan Prabhu, verse 3 translation.
Hare Krishna. As soon as the living entity becomes situated in his constitutional glory and begins to enjoy the transcendence beyond time and material energy, he at once gives up the two misconceptions of life, I and mine, and thus becomes fully manifested as the pure self.
So through bhakti, jiva becomes free from misconceptions. Why? Anybody knows why? Through bhakti, why jiva comes out of misconceptions? There's a direct verse for this. We all practice bhakti. So how and why do we come out of this misconception? Somebody? Yes, no, want to know?
I am not the body, I am eternal soul.
Yeah, no, that's a fact. That you are speaking in theory. Do you act like a soul, Matan Prabhu?
I try to, but I'm
Yeah,
not sure. I'm not like I'm trying. Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, trying. Yeah. So the solution given is by bhakti, jiva becomes free from misconceptions. So how does this happen? And what's the direct verse for this answer? I also asked, anybody wants to know, and nobody said, I want to know.
I want to know, Prabhuji.
Nitya,
What is the verse, Prabhuji?
Okay, Nitya. The rest of you are still silent. So, Gauri, go to Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, verse number 7 is the direct answer. That how bhakti gets jiva out of misconception. Gauri, 1, 2, 7 translation.
By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world.
Right? So, the byproducts of bhakti are causeless knowledge and detachment. Knowledge. So, material world, the basis of material existence is avidya. So, bhakti gives the knowledge to destroy that avidya. Anybody knows the verse how everybody gets the knowledge? All those who practice bhakti, everybody should know this. Already should have prepared the verses for today.
Ten 10 Prabhu, Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, very good. Tadami buddhi yogam tam. Yeah. Gyan dipena, and then Krishna says that with the torch of knowledge, I destroy the darkness. Right, so you all were supposed to prepare the Catuh Sloki. So Catuh Sloki is not just the simple translation. Right, you need to understand what is going on. What exactly is Krishna explaining, and why is this called as Catuh Sloki? So now part 2 is verses 4 to 8, setting the platform for Brahma. In this part 2, Brahmaji could not understand how to create. Now, Brahmaji has already done creation so many times, but the start of the new day, he forgets. Prabhupada explains that Brahmaji is also Jiva. Just as we forget, Brahmaji also forgets. So while Brahmaji was contemplating, what do I do? There's nobody around. Brahmaji heard the words tapa, tapa, tapa. Now, Brahmaji could not see anyone. Therefore, Brahmaji concludes that these words are coming from transcendence. And Brahmaji followed the verbal instructions and performed austerities for 1000 celestial years. So verses 4 to 6 translations are straightforward. Malti, would you like to read 4 to 6 translations, chapter 9?
Hare Krishna. Text 4. O King, the personality of Godhead being very much pleased with Lord Brahma because of his non-deceptive penance in Bhakti Yoga, presented his eternal and transcendental form before Brahma, and that is the objective goal for purifying the conditioned soul. Hare Krishna.
5 and 6 as well.
Text 5. Lord Brahma, the first spiritual master supreme in the universe, could not stress out the source of his lotus seat, and while thinking of creating the material world, he could not understand the proper direction for such creative work, nor could he find out the process for such creation. Text 6. While thus engaged in thinking in the water, Brahmaji heard twice from nearby two syllables joined together. One of the syllable was taken from the 16th and the other from the 21st of the Sparsa alphabet, and both joined to become the wealth of the renounced order of life. Hare Krishna.
In verse number 4 purport, Srila Prabhupada explains there are two misconceptions because of ignorance. First is Jiva identifying with body. And second misconception is that Paramatma is at equal level with the Jiva. The solution is to take to Bhakti Yoga. By Bhakti Yoga, one understands who is Paramatma, who am I, and what is the relationship between me and Paramatma. That Paramatma is the eternal master, and I am the eternal servant of the eternal master. Nitya, verse 7 translation.
Verse 7. When he heard the sound, he tried to find the speaker, searching on all sides. But when he was unable to find anyone besides himself, he thought it wise to sit down on his lotus seat firmly and give his attention to the execution of penance as he was instructed.
In verse 7, purport, Prabhupada explains, to achieve success, follow instructions as exemplified by Brahmaji. So visualize Brahmaji's position that he is alone. There is nobody in the entire creation. He is looking around. He couldn't find anything. He goes down in the stem of the lotus to see. He couldn't find anything. Comes up. He doesn't know what to do, and he only heard the voice, tapa, tapa. And that's what Prabhupada is stressing. That follow instructions as exemplified by Brahmaji. So association with spiritual master can be two ways, Vani and Vapu. Vapu is physical association, means you are in physical proximity, doing physical services for the spiritual master, like of preparing bhoga for him, or say bringing Bhagavatam book, or bringing mridanga, or setting up the the temple hall for him to conduct Bhagavatam. All these are Vapu services, in-person services. More important is the Vani service, that follow the instructions of the spiritual master. Then you are 24 hours, 365 days with your spiritual master, because you are carrying the instructions of your spiritual master in your heart, and you are only focusing on executing the instructions as your life's only purpose. So Brahmaji's quality is that Brahmaji was fixed in his determination. Brahmaji could not find anyone around. Still, he simply did perform the austerities simply by hearing. And the Lord gave all the required knowledge. Just as Srila Prabhupada also followed his spiritual master's instruction, that Prabhupada got the instruction from his spiritual master, that you are good in English, so go to the West and preach in English. Prabhupada is 70 years of age almost, and comes all by himself on a Jaladuta ship, simply to please his spiritual master, and spiritual master provided everything. Now rest is history. Look what Prabhupada achieved simply by executing the will of spiritual master. Divya, verse 8 translation.
Hare Krishna, text 8. Lord Brahma underwent penances for 1000 years by the calculation of the demigods. He heard this transcendental vibration from the sky and he accepted it as divine. Thus he controlled his mind and senses, and the penances he executed were a great lesson for the living entities. Thus he is known as the greatest of all ascetics.
In verse 8, purport, Prabhupada explains the secret of success is to follow the orders of spiritual master. So Shivangi and Chandan Prabhus are also there in the other Bhagavatam class. In Canto 4, Shiva also explains it as part of the Rudra Gita. The secret of success is to follow the instructions of the spiritual master. Same point explained. And controlled senses means to engage senses in service of the Lord. Pragya, you had earlier a question. Pragya?
Ji, Prabhuji, I was asking about that the Vani thing that you explained actually. So those two syllables from Sparsha alphabets, I just wanted to understand. That is Tapa, I understand, but those are Sparsha alphabets. And Tapa you explained, Prabhuji, Ta and Pa.
Yeah.
So he followed that.
Yeah, if you go in the purport for verse number 6, Prabhupada explains that in the purport. Tapa.
Ji, Prabhuji, thank you.
So now part 3 is verses 9 to 18. Lord Brahma's darshan of Vaikuntha. So Brahmaji meditated as discussed in section 2, and now Brahmaji is going to get darshan of Vaikuntha. Being pleased by Brahmaji's penance, the Lord manifests his abode Vaikuntha, the supreme abode. So verses 9 and 10 are about the glories of Vaikuntha, straightforward verses. Chandran, 9 and 10 translations.
Hare Krishna. Text 9, translation. The personality of Godhead being thus very much satisfied with the penance of Lord Brahma, was pleased to manifest his personal abode, Vaikuntha, the supreme planet above all others. This transcendental abode of the Lord is adored by all self-realized persons freed from all kinds of miseries and fear of illusory existence. Text 10. In that personal abode of the Lord, the material modes of ignorance and passion do not prevail, nor is there any of their influence in goodness. There is no predominance of the influence of time. So, what to speak of the illusory external energy? It cannot enter that region without discrimination. Both the demigods and demons worship the Lord as devotees. Hare Krishna.
The modes of material nature are not present in Vaikuntha. There is no influence of time. There is no illusion in spiritual world. Everything is factual in the spiritual world. Now this word factual. So material world, material energy, we living entities, we are all also factual. But the illusion is that we think we can enjoy separate from Krishna in this material world. That material world is temporary, still we consider this to be our permanent home, is the illusion. Now verses 11 to 14 describe the residents of Vaikuntha and their beauty. They are straightforward verses. Mayank, chapter 9, verses 11 to 14 translations.
Hare Krishna. The inhabitants of the Vaikuntha planets are described as having a glowing sky bluish complexion. Their eyes resemble lotus flowers, their dress is of yellowish color, and their bodily features very attractive. They are just the age of growing youths. They all have 4 hands. They are all nicely decorated with pearl necklaces, with ornamental medallions, and they all appear to be effulgent. Some of them are effulgent like coral and diamonds in complexion, and have garlands on their heads, blowing like lotus flowers, and some wear earrings. The Vaikuntha planets are also surrounded by various airplanes, all glowing and brilliantly situated. These airplanes belong to the great Mahatmas or devotees of the Lord. The ladies are as beautiful as lightning because of their celestial complexions, and all these combined together appear just like the sky decorated with both clouds and lightnings. The goddess of fortune in her transcendental form is engaged in the loving service of the Lord's lotus feet, and being moved by the black bees, followers of spring, she is not only engaged in variegated pleasure, service to the Lord, along with her constant companions, but is also engaged in singing the glories of the Lord's activities.
So all the residents of Vaikuntha, they look identical to the Lord. So as you can see on the screen, that these are Nanda and Sunanda. They have come in an airplane to take Dhruv Maharaj to the spiritual world. So you can see that the Nanda and Sunanda have 4 hands, yellowish garment, and decorated almost identical to Vishnu. So the only way to identify Vishnu in the spiritual world is that Vishnu has the Shrivastava mark on the chest. Otherwise, everyone looks identical in the spiritual world, in Vaikuntha specifically. Now, verses 15 to 18 describe the Lord's beauty and activities. Gauri, 15 to 18 translations are also straightforward.
Hare Krishna, verse 15. Lord Brahma saw in the Vaikuntha planets the personality of Godhead, who is the Lord of the entire devotee community, the Lord of the goddess of fortune, the Lord of all sacrifices, and the Lord of the universe, and who is served by the foremost servitors like Nanda, Sunanda, Pralab, and Arahana, his immediate associates. Text 16. The personality of Godhead, seen leaning favorably towards his loving servitors, his very sight intoxicating and attractive, appeared to be very much satisfied. He had a smiling face decorated with an enchanting reddish hue. He was dressed in yellow robes and wore earrings and a helmet on his head. He had 4 hands, and his chest was marked with the lines of the goddess of fortune. Text 17. The Lord was seated on his throne and was surrounded by different energies like the 4, the 16, the 5, and the 6 natural opulences, along with other insignificant energies of the temporary character. But he was the factual Supreme Lord enjoying his own abode. Text 18. Lord Brahma, thus seeing the personality of Godhead in his fullness, was overwhelmed with joy within his heart, and thus in full transcendental love and ecstasy, his eyes filled with tears of love, he thus bowed down before the Lord. That is the way of the highest perfection for the living being, Paramhamsa. Hare Krishna.
So from verse 17, these numbers of 4, 16, 5, and 6, what do they represent? So the 4 is the Prakriti, Purusha, Mahatattva, and ego. The 16 refers to the 5 great elements, the 5 knowledge acquiring senses, 5 working senses, and the mind. 5 refers to the 5 sense objects, and 6 refers to the opulences. In verse 18, purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that Srimad Bhagavatam is meant for Paramhamsas. Paramhamsas are those who follow Bhakti Yoga. Now, part 4, verses 19 to 24. Lord is in pleasure and invites Brahmaji to ask for benediction. The Lord states that, to Brahmaji, Lord is stating that devotional austerities are very dear to the Lord. So Brahmaji is present before the Lord, and Lord understood that Brahmaji is worthy of giving him specific responsibility of creation. And the Lord is smiling. The smiling comes multiple times. The Lord has a plan. And therefore, the Lord asked Brahmaji for benedictions. So these verses 19 to 24 are all straightforward verses. Chandran, 19 to 21 translations.
Hare Krishna. Text 19. And seeing Brahma present before him, the Lord accepted him as worthy to create living beings, to be controlled as he desired, and thus being much satisfied with him, the Lord shook hands with Brahma and slightly smiling addressed him thus. Text 20. The beautiful personality of God had addressed Lord Brahma. O Brahma, impregnated with the Vedas, I am very much pleased with your long accumulated penance, with the desire for creation. Hardly am I pleased with the pseudo mistakes. Text 21. I wish you good luck. O Brahma, you may ask from me, the giver of all benediction, all that you may desire. You may know that the ultimate benediction as a result of all penances is to see me by realization. Text 22. The highest perfectional unity is the personal perception of my abodes. And this has been possible because of your submissive attitude in the performance of severe penance according to my order.
All right,
Text.
Divya, 23, 24 translations.
Hare Krishna. Text 23. O sinless Brahma, you may know from me that it was I who first ordered you to undergo penance when you were perplexed in your duty. Such penance is my heart and soul, and therefore penance and I are non-different. Text 24. I create this cosmos by such penance, I maintain it by the same energy, and I withdraw it all by the same energy. Therefore, the potency is penance only.
Right, so Lord confirmed that what Brahmaji heard earlier, tapa tapa, the Lord says, I was the one who told you to perform this austerities by the words tapa tapa. So far the chapter 9 is straightforward. It's just setting the scene that Brahmaji doesn't know how to create. He heard the word tapa tapa, he performed austerities. Krishna is pleased. Krishna actually shook hands with Brahmaji. And Krishna showed him Vaikuntha. So giving darshan is as good as going to Vaikuntha. And now, being pleased with Brahmaji, Krishna says, ask for benedictions. And the next two parts are the heavier parts in this chapter on Catuh Sloki. I will pause here for any questions, comments, realizations so far. Nitya.
Prabhu, can you just elaborate on the potential power of penance in the creation of cosmos? And it also says that's God's energy. Can you please elaborate?
Yeah, so Krishna just said in the verse that this penance, I create this cosmos by such penance. This is the potency. Krishna has explained this in Bhagavad Gita chapter 10 verse number 25. Krishna says, I am japa. Right? So we all do japa every day. And Krishna says, I am japa. That austerity, I am that japa, I am that holy name. Nitya, you want to read Bhagavad Gita 10.25 translation?
Yes, Prabhu, 1 second. Of the great sages, I am Brigu. Of vibrations, I am the transcendental Om. Of sacrifices, I am the chanting of the holy name Japa. And of immovable things, I am the Himalaya.
Right? Says of sacrifices, I am japa. So, I mean, it's Krishna. Where is anything to doubt about the potency? Nitya.
Thank you, Prabhu.
All right, so Brahmaji in part 5, verses 25 to 30, is going to ask questions. Therefore, the title of part 5 is Questions by Brahmaji. Yes, there's 4 questions, but he also asked one very important 5th question also. So let's read one question at a time. Nitya, 26 translation is question 1.
Yes, Prabhu. Text 26. In spite of that, my Lord, I'm praying to you to kindly fulfill my desire. May I please be informed how, in spite of your transcendental form, you assume the mundane form, although you have no such form at all.
Yeah, I missed reading, asking to read 25. So Nitya, read 25. So Brahmaji first sets the base and continue to it. So read 25, 26 again.
Yes, Prabhu. Text 25. Lord Brahma said, O personality of Godhead, you are situated in every living entity's heart as the supreme director, and therefore you are aware of all endeavors by your superior intelligence without any hindrance whatsoever. Text 26. In spite of that, my Lord, I'm praying to you to kindly fulfill my desire. May I please be informed how, in spite of your transcendental form, you assume the mundane form, although you have no such form at all.
Right, so Brahmaji is also setting the example that you first start by glorifying the Lord. And so therefore in verse 25, he first glorifies the Lord. So Lord has specifically asked him to ask for benediction. Therefore Brahmaji is asking. So question 1 is asked in 26 is, what are the forms of the Lord, both in matter and in transcendence? 27 as question number 2. Gauri, 27.
Question 2. And please inform me how you, by your own self, manifest different energies for annihilation, generation, acceptance, and maintenance by combination and permutation.
So question 2 is asking is, how are different energies of the Lord working? Verse 28 has question number 3. Malti, 28.
28. O Master of all energies, please tell me philosophically all about them. You play like a spider that covers itself by its own energy, and your determination is infallible. Hare Krishna.
So question 3 is, how does the Lord play with his different energies? Or basically is asking Lord's activities in relation to Maya. Verse 29 has question number 4. Matan, 29.
Hare Krishna. Verse 29. Please tell me so that I may be taught in the matter by the instruction of the personality of Godhead, and may thus act instrumentally to generate living entities without being conditioned by such activities.
So question number 4 is, how may Brahmaji be instructed to discharge the duty entrusted to him? Essentially, it's these 4 questions, but verse number 30, Brahmaji goes on to ask a very, very important question. Mayank, verse 30 translation.
Hare Krishna. O my Lord, the unborn, you have shaken hands with me just as a friend does with a friend, as if equal in position. I shall be engaged in the creation of different types of living entities, and I shall be occupied in your service. I shall have no perturbation, but I pray that all this may not give rise to pride, as if I were the supreme.
Right? So Brahmaji is asking in verse 30 that how I, Brahmaji, do not get pride. That because Brahmaji is going to interact with material nature and he is going to be the creator, many will think Brahmaji is supreme. So how Brahmaji does not get pride? A very important inquiry Brahmaji makes, and he's setting an example for all of us that we just execute services given to us and we do not get puffed up on whatever abilities we may have, because the abilities may be withdrawn at any time by the Lord. We have discussed this in Canto 1 that Arjuna's this special abilities to single-handedly win the Kurukshetra war, that ability was withdrawn by the Lord because that ability is not required to go back home, back to Godhead. And this point about Brahmaji being the supreme, Sri Narad Muni also asked this same question. Are you the supreme? And the I, me, mine also, Sri Narad Muni also already inquired at the start of Canto 2. Why are Jiva so infatuated with I, me, mine? So you see how everything is coming and falling in its place. I will pause here for any questions, comments, realizations on these very important question. The head spiritual master Brahmaji has asked direct to Krishna while shaking his hands. Anybody? Everybody? Nitya?
Prabhu, so the instruction of the Lord to Brahmaji occurs at the beginning of Brahmaji's day, at the beginning of each day, when after the 12 hours, then 12 hours of night, then beginning. And then this also occurs at the beginning of every cycle. I'm a little confused with that timeline.
Yeah. So definitely happens at the beginning of every cycle. And then there is some additional inspirational instruction at the beginning of every day of Brahmaji. That what all Brahmaji forgets every day, that is refreshed, that memory is refreshed by the Lord. Yeah, you are correct on both points, Nitya.
Prabhu, also a follow-up, Brahmaji's position is occupied by different persona, at different cycles, right?
You are correct. So one creation cycle. So right now we have this cycle which runs, this universe will be for 311 trillion, 40 billion, few million years, which is 100-year lifetime of Brahmaji. There is one Brahmaji, one Jiva in the position of Brahmaji. And when annihilation happens, all will go into Mahavishnu's womb. And then I'm talking about the full annihilation, right? Even Brahmaji leaves his body and goes back to spiritual world. So then later on, when next creation cycle happens, there will be Brahmaji. Brahmaji is a position, but it's not necessary that the same Brahmaji will again be Brahmaji. It can be any other soul. It can be the same Brahmaji. It can be any other soul as well. And understand that there are infinite material universes. There is one Brahmaji in all those universes. And our universe is the smallest of all universes. and other universes are more complex. The size is okay, it's the complexity that's more. Because our universe is smallest, therefore our Brahmaji has the least number of heads with 4 heads. As you can see on the visual on the screen, there are Brahmajis with 100 heads, 1,000 heads, 100,000 heads, million heads in different universes, just because the complexity of those universes is more, requiring that many more heads, that many more brains for Brahmaji to tackle that particular universe. Nitya.
Thank you, Prabhu, for the clarification.
Matan.
So why Lord is shaking hands with Brahma? So shaking hands, something happens in the material people.
No, he's pleased, right? Whatever happens in the material world, we don't create. Everything is already existing in the spiritual world. There are relationships. This shaking hand did not originate in this material world. Everything in the material world did not originate in the material world. Everything comes from Krishna. Krishna says in chapter 10, verse 4 and 5, that everything comes from me. Plus, Krishna also says in Catuh Sloki Bhagavad Gita 10.8, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo, that everything comes from Krishna. So everything comes from Krishna. So Krishna is pleased with Brahmaji. Therefore, he is shaking hands. So there's a point mentioned in the chat. Krishna gives knowledge to ask questions. So that is correct point. Because if God gave this big position for creation, anyone can get pride easily. That's correct. So I'm not sure what the question is.
I mean, Prabhuji, Brahmaji has that something that he asks questions from the beginning, because currently he don't have that power to ask many questions about in detail, but still God choose him, so he must have that.
Correct. So we have discussed this in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.1. Tene Brahma Hridaye Adi Kavaye. So Brahmaji got all the knowledge by Krishna infusing all the knowledge in the heart of Brahmaji, as well as infusing what inquiries Brahmaji should make. Malti?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Very good. So now part 6 is verses 31 to 38. Lord speaks, Catuh Sloki, concludes, and disappears. So the visual you have that on screen is from the Bhagavatam overview discussion, that how Srimad Bhagavatam has come down in parampara. That Krishna spoke Srimad Bhagavatam to Brahmaji first. These are the 4 verses in chapter 9, Canto 2, chapter 9, verses 33, 34, 35, and 36 are the original Srimad Bhagavatam verses that Krishna spoke to Brahmaji. And this is the conversation that how first Brahmaji is getting darshan, Krishna is saying tapa tapa, and then Krishna is coming and shaking hands, Brahmaji asking inquiry, and comes the Catuh Sloki. All that happened at the first Srimad Bhagavatam. This is how first Srimad Bhagavatam came about. And to explain these 4 verses, Srimad Bhagavatam became 18,000 verses. So the 18,000 verses are not anything new. The 18,000 verses are essentially explaining these 4 verses. And how these 4 verses are coming are exactly what the 4 questions Brahmaji asked. That's exactly what Krishna is explaining. Now understand that if you only read these 4 verses, we are not going to understand Bhagavatam because there is a difference between Brahmaji and us. Brahmaji's entire body is largely made out of intelligence. Plus, do understand that simultaneous to these 4 verses of Catuh Sloki Bhagavatam, Brahmaji also got the darshan of Vaikuntha. Plus, Krishna also infused all the required knowledge into the heart of Brahmaji together with speaking these 4 verses. So it's not just these 4 verses, there is other things also went together with these 4 verses. That's why Brahmaji could understand. And then to explain these 4 verses to all of us, Bhagavatam became 18,000 verses. So as we discuss this chapter 9, Brahmaji will first explain the Bhagavatam to Srila Narad Muni, as you can see in the Parampara. And Brahmaji will ask Narad Muni, you go and expand. That's what he will use, the word expand. And so that it becomes clear for ordinary people like me in the material world. Shivangi?
Prabhuji, I have 2 questions. So the first question is, so each time this was spoken, does it mean it got expanded from 4 verses to 8 verses and then somehow ended up at 18,000? That's the first question. And the second question is, why didn't Srila Vyasadeva just write down the Bhagavatam when Narad Muni spoke it to him? I get confused because he appears multiple times in this cycle. So
Yeah, very good. So yes, you are correct that Krishna comes once every day in the life of Brahmaji to give him all the knowledge. And he will speak Catuh Sloki, right? If you read Canto 10, chapter 13 and 14, where Brahmaji is illusioned, he's stealing the cows and cowherd boys. Then when he gets enlightened, Brahmaji is speaking Bhagavad Gita. Are Baba, Krishna is still a small child. He has not yet, the Kurukshetra has not yet happened. Krishna has not yet spoken Bhagavad Gita in that particular point in time. So how is Brahmaji knowing Bhagavad Gita? Because Krishna has already spoken Bhagavad Gita in the previous day of Brahmaji. Right? Understand that right now Brahmaji is 51 years of age. And each year of Brahmaji has 360 days. And Krishna comes once every day in the life of Brahmaji to impart this knowledge. So yes, you are correct that originally the way it is, it will always be like this. And then Brahmaji expands through the parampara system. Like right now, how it got expanded from Brahmaji to Narad Muni to Srila Vyasadeva to Sukadev to Parikshit to Sutta Goswami and coming all the way down to Srila Prabhupada and Prabhupada giving us all of it. Shivangi, does that answer the first question?
yes, Prabhuji. So basically, from the 4 verses, each person just elaborated more and more, and it became 18,000.
You are correct.
Okay. And then the reason why Srila Vyasadeva didn't write it down the first time is because
So Srila Vyasadeva wrote down the version spoken by Sutta Goswami because Canto 1 had lot of background setting. So what happened is that Brahmaji spoke to Narad Muni, Narad to Vyasa, Vyasadev to Sukdev Goswami, and Sukdev Goswami to Parikshit. Now do understand that in between, there are many other versions also. So I have not listed all of them. So if you look on the visual, there is Bhakti Vinod Thakur, there is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. They also have Srimad Bhagavatam. I have not listed every single one of them. What happened was that when Sukdev Goswami spoke Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj, Suta Goswami was also present in the audience. Suta Goswami also heard first hand from Sukdev Goswami. And then the sages of Naimisharanya inquired that background setting, that what led to Srimad Bhagavatam. All that information was very valid for at least for people in Kali Yuga. Therefore, Srila Vyasadeva said, instead of me writing the version that Brahmaji spoke to Narad or Narad spoke to Vyasa or what Vyasadev spoke to Sukadeva Goswami, he said the version that Suta Goswami spoke to the sages of Naimisharanya with that background information in Canto 1 is very relevant for ordinary people like me in Kali Yuga, where spirituality has dwindled so much. Therefore, Srila Vyasadeva wrote down this version of Bhagavatam. Shivangi, was that your question?
Yes, Prabhuji. So about the other versions, what could be different is that somebody else could have spoken it to
So
somebody
there is no
else.
difference. We have already discussed this at the start of our Bhagavad Gita. There is no difference in any of these versions. The 4 verses spoken by Krishna and the 18,000 verses that we are speaking, there is no different in essence of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Explanation is given so that because I am contaminated, because my memory is not very sharp, because I don't have lot of knowledge, because I have lot of ignorance. Therefore, this version is a lucid version so that it is little palatable and understandable for me. That's the only difference. It's lucid version of the original Srimad Bhagavatam, and without losing the essence, without contaminating the essence. That's the lucid is the only difference so that we can understand at our level. Shivangi?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Makes sense.
Nitya?
Prabhuji, so there are 1,000 cycles of yugas in 12-hour day of Brahmaji. So in the beginning, when Lord comes in, it's the beginning of this cycle, beginning of these 1,000 cycles. And then he gives it to Narada Muni, who gives it to Vyasa, who doesn't write it down until the beginning of Kali Yuga. So it's just oral transmission. How does this just repeat at every cycle? Because there are
You are
1,000
correct.
cycles.
Yeah, so you are correct that originally it was only oral transmission. And we have discussed this at the start of Canto 1, that why did Srila Vyasadeva write down Bhagavatam? And Srila Vyasadeva has given the reasons that at the start of Kali Yuga that he saw the future, that Kali Yuga is coming up. 1.1.10 describes the characteristics of people in Kali Yuga, that people have short lives and short memory. And Srila Vyasadeva said that because of that short lives and short memory, this knowledge will be lost if we just keep it verbally. Therefore, let me write it down, and therefore Srila Vyasadeva wrote it down. Nitya?
Follow up, Prabhu. So Vyasadeva appeared in Satyug every Yug, Satya Yuga, Dwarpa, and Treta, and then in Kali Yuga, or does he appear in Kali Yuga?
So Vyasadeva is Krishna himself. I don't think, let me think, is it given when he appeared? So Vyasadeva would be there from long time ago. At least I don't recall right now whether Bhagavatam describes when he appeared. I don't recall. Probably is there. Right now it's not there in my memory in terms of the timeline of when he appeared. But he is probably is there from before.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Everybody on the same page? Questions, comments, realizations before we start discussing the Catuh Sloki verses? Pragya?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, just wanted to understand this. That you mentioned that there were several versions of Srimad Bhagavatam, but the written down version is only one, or written down versions are also several?
So there are versions of Bhagavatam available for previous acharyas such as Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Baldev Vidya Bhushaban. There are many other versions of Bhagavatam available, and we have discussed that we do not cross Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is our Jagat Guru. We do not cross Srila Prabhupada. Although Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's Bhagavatam version is very rasic. And when you study Bhagavatam, just as I study in the Bhakti Vaibhav Srimad Bhagavatam course and the Bhakti Vedanta Bhagavatam courses, that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Srimad Bhagavatam references come up multiple times for understanding, for clarification. Of course, Srila Prabhupada has also provided Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's references at some places. But when we study Bhagavatam, the Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's Bhagavatam is referenced quite often for clarification, because first it is at a rasic level. We have discussed this in 1.1.3 that we all have to become rasic devotees. Plus Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentaries are somewhat clarifying. At places it's also different than Srila Prabhupada. So we have to see that, okay, Prabhupada is giving in what context Prabhupada is giving that commentary and in what context Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is explaining. So in those classes, we do refer, and that's the only time we go back to the previous Acharya's commentaries. We don't read, even in our Bhagavatam study course, we don't read the entire Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentaries, although they are available, but we don't cross Srila Prabhupada. We only go to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentaries for clarification, for added understanding. Prabhupada has already given us all of it. But to come to that rasic level, for that added flavor, we go to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentaries. Pragya?
Thank you, Prabhuji. So it is just the commentaries which are different, but the Srimad Bhagavatam as written down by Srila Vyasadeva, that version is only one. That written down version is only one. Commentaries may differ. Is that the correct understanding?
Absolutely correct. Bhagavatam verses are identical. Commentaries are slightly different. Understand, not widely different, slightly different in terms of understanding, in terms of the rasic nature versus in terms of awe and reverence nature. Right? Prabhupada has given us largely at the awe and reverence level, versus Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary is a little bit at the rasic level. I'll give you a simple example to understand this. That Canto 3, chapters 13 to 19 is described about the fight between Hiranyaksha and Varahadev. Now, before the fight, there are a lot of atrocities of Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha described. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually glorifies Hiranyaksha. That he's demoniac, but he said he's a glorious demoniac. He lived a glorious life because Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur knows that Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha are Jai Vijay, very dear to Krishna. They have come in the demoniac life just to serve Krishna properly. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, he says, Hiranyaksha, oh, he's a glorious demon. How do you understand that part? So I'm just giving one example. Pragya, everybody?
Ji Prabhuji. So Prabhuji, this all the other commentaries are also from the same our Gauriya Madhav Sampradaya, same parampara, or there are commentaries by others also?
So all those I referred, what we have on the screen, they are all from Brahma Gaudiya Madhava Sampradaya. There are other pseudo Sampradayas also having commentaries on Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. We do not go to other Sampradayas. They are largely Mayavad commentaries.
Okay, Prabhuji, but the written version in Sanskrit without translation are those by Srila Vasudeva. That is only one.
Correct.
Prabhuji, is there any original manuscript of that somewhere?
So I know you are little inclined on Sanskrit. I would not ask you to go there.
Okay, Prabhuji.
We do not
Thank
cross
you.
Srila Prabhupada, right? We have to stay
Ji
what
Prabhuji.
Prabhupada has given us. No matter what our inclination says, we have to practice not to cross our spiritual master, our head spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada.
Ji Prabhuji. And you are saying this, Prabhuji, in terms of interpreting Sanskrit in our way. So we should not interpret it. We should interpret
Correct.
it the way he has interpreted it for us.
Correct. Absolutely correct. Right? We don't know. We may be scholars in Sanskrit, but that's not how you understand Bhagavatam. Right? It's not a literal translation. So Pragya, you also tried to create videos and visuals for the Bhagavatam Catuh Sloki. You will soon realize, as soon as we discuss this, you will soon realize that it's not a literal read of the verses, right?
Ji Prabhuji.
There is lot more meaning in these verses rather than the literal word for word understanding.
Ji Prabhuji.
All right. Very good foundation we have set. So let's discuss the Catuh Sloki Bhagavatam, which are very much similar, identical to the Bhagavad Gita Catuh Sloki. So all scriptures have three areas: Sambandh, Abhideya, and Prayojana. Sambandh means relation. Abhideya is the process. Prayojana is the result. Srimad Bhagavatam Catuh Sloki are the basis for entire philosophy. This Catuh Sloki has two verses on Sambandh, one on Abhideya, and one on Prayojana. Catuh Sloki verses answer Brahmaji's questions, the four questions that he asked. Of course, it was also the fifth question. All get answered. So the four questions that Brahmaji asked in 26, question 1, he asked is, what are the forms of the Lord, both in matter and in transcendence? In 27, question 2, Brahmaji asked is, how are different energies of the Lord working? In verse 28, question 3, Brahmaji asked is, how does the Lord play with his different energies? Meaning, Brahmaji is asking, Lord's activities in relation to Maya. In verse 29, Brahmaji's fourth question is, how may Brahmaji be instructed to discharge the duty entrusted to him. And of course, Brahmaji also goes on to ask the fifth question in verse 30, that how Brahmaji does not get pride. So 2.9.33 is Jnanam and Sambandh. 2.9.34 is on Vijnan as well as Sambandh. 2.9.36 is on Sadhana Bhakti or Abhideya. Sadhana Bhakti is the limb of Bhakti. 2.9.35 is Prema Bhakti or Prayojana. So I'll repeat this again. So verse 33 is on Jnana and Sambandh. 34 is on Vijnana and Sambandh. 36 is on Sadhana Bhakti and Abhideya. Yes, 36 I am explaining ahead of 35. 36 is Sadhana Bhakti and Abhideya. Sadhana Bhakti is a limb of Bhakti. And 35 is Prema Bhakti, which is Prayojana. So I will now explain each of these verses, and then we will read the verses after we finish discussing these verses, and then the read of the verses will become slightly easier. So 2.9.33 is about Lord's material and spiritual form, is about Jnana and Sambandh. Supreme Lord existed before creation. So this is referring to Lord's spiritual form. So before there was no material nature. Everything manifests from the Lord, and when everything is wound up, only the Lord remains. So this is Jnana, that Supreme Lord creates and annihilates. Supreme Lord exists before and after annihilation, before creation and after annihilation. So 2.9.33 answers Brahmaji's question 1 in verse 26 about Lord's material and spiritual form. 2.9.33 gives the jnana or the knowledge to know Lord's personal form. This verse 33 gives the basis for understanding one's relationship or the sambandh with the Lord. That this word aham in the verse stresses on the personal feature of the Supreme Lord. This 2.9.33 verse explains the philosophy of Achinta Bhed Abhed Tattva. Now, the next verse, number 34. 2.9.34 is about Lord's Maya, is about Vijnan and Sambandh. So, Sambandh is clearly stated that if Lord's energy is not connected with the Lord, then it is illusion as a reflection of reality in darkness and in ignorance. 2.9.34 answers Brahmaji's question number 2 from verse 27 about how Lord's different energies are working. 2.9.34 explains Vijnana. Vijnana means the realization. the realization of illusory potency of Maya that occurs by Lord's grace. To teach the truth that his forms and qualities are different from matter, the Lord describes the qualities of illusory energy, Maya. Now, 2.9.35 is about Lord's activities in relation to Maya. Is Rahasyam. So we'll soon read in 35, this word Rahasyam will come up. Rahasyam means confidential, pure devotional service. So this is, verse 35 is about Prema Bhakti and Prayojana. So Lord describes the secret, Rahasyam, of the love for him. The most confidential and mysterious goal is Prema Bhakti. As the material elements are simultaneously within and without the cosmos, similarly, I am simultaneously within the devotee's thoughts and also outside of the devotees. This is what Krishna is explaining. This is Achinta Bhed Abhed Tattva. Meaning Krishna says, I only know my devotees and my devotees know me. Therefore, this is Prayojana. So 2.9.35 answers Brahmaji's question number 3 from verse 28. How does the Lord play with his different energies? Or what are the Lord's activities in relation to Maya? And 2.9.36 is about Tad Angam, is about Sadhana Bhakti and Abhideya. In 2.9.36, Krishna says, one must search for that absolute truth, which is determined as the best by obtaining positive results through performance. That search of the absolute truth is by sadhana bhakti. Therefore, this verse number 36 is abhideya, the process. If we do not perform sadhana bhakti or do not perform the process, then we will lack the results. Meaning, we have to practice bhakti seriously. And that bhakti can be performed in all circumstances. So these 4 Catuh Sloki Bhagavatam verses are the original 4 verses spoken directly by Supreme Lord Krishna and later expanded by Srila Narad Muni, Vyasadeva, various other acharyas. So Tad Angam is the means by which one may attain the confidential goal, that is Rahasya, described in the previous 2.9.35. So Rahasya is the confidential knowledge. How do you get that? The Tadangam is the sadhana bhakti. So in 2.9.36 is the answer to Brahmaji's question 4 from verse 29. how may Brahmaji be instructed to discharge the duty entrusted to him, as well as for Brahmaji's fifth question? Although everywhere it's 4 questions, Brahmaji still asks a very important fifth question also. For the fifth question asked in verse number 30, that how does Brahmaji not get pride? That when Brahmaji said that when Brahmaji will do this service of creation, Brahmaji is going to interact directly with material nature and everybody will think Brahmaji is supreme. So how does I, Brahmaji, not get pride, or I should not get pride? Therefore, Lord is saying that concentrate on the Catuh Sloki verses that I have just told you, and there will be no pride. I have explained the Catuh Sloki Bhagavatam verses to you all. We will read one verse at a time, and whatever questions you probably will have, you can bring up one after the other. So I lost track as to who was last reading. So we will start reading verses from 31. I will start from the bottom again from Shivangi. So I'll first read 31 and 32. Just Krishna is setting the base. And then each of the Catuh Sloki verses will read one at a time. Shivangi, 31, 32 translations.
Hare Krishna. The personality of Godhead said, knowledge about me as described in the scriptures is very confidential, and it has to be realized in conjunction with devotional service. The necessary paraphernalia for that process is being explained by me. You may take it up carefully.
Okay, so understand the very first point Krishna has explained. What we were just discussing about Pragya's inquiry about the Sanskrit of the original Bhagavatam. Krishna said that knowledge about me described in the scriptures is very confidential, and it can be realized only in conjunction with devotional service, not by academic knowledge, right? Devotional service, hearing Bhagavatam in devotee association, just as what we are doing right now, is the way to understand Bhagavatam, not otherwise. Pragya, everybody clear?
Ji Prabhuji, thank you.
Shivangi,
Yes.
32.
All of me, namely my actual eternal form and my transcendental existence, color, qualities, and activities, let all be awakened within you by factual realization out of my causeless mercy.
Right, so Krishna is blessing Brahmaji that you will get these realizations because of my causeless mercy. So now comes the Catuh Sloki verses, one at a time. We'll read. Pragya, 33, translation.
Hare Krishna. Verse 33. Brahma, it is I, the personality of Godhead, who was existing before the creation when there was nothing but myself, nor was there the material nature, the cause of this creation. That which you see now is also I, the personality of Godhead. And after annihilation, what remains will also be I, the personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Right, so verse 33 is about Lord's material and spiritual form, is about Jnana and Sambandh, that Supreme Lord existed before creation. He did all this creation and he will also annihilate, and after annihilation, also only the Lord will remain, meaning the full annihilation, not this everyday annihilation of Brahmaji's night, not that, but the full pralaya, the final pralaya. After the pralaya, full annihilation, only the Lord will remain. So all this is jnana, all this is sambandh, that how did we come into existence? How did material world come into existence? All this is jnana and sambandh. Okay?
No, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, you just answered my question. I just wanted to understand Sambandha part of it. So it is the Sambandha of the material creation with the Lord.
Correct.
Thank you.
Right, so 2.9.33 also explains the philosophy of Achinta Bhed Abhed Tattva, that yes, Lord creates, yes, Lord is part of the material world through his energies, still he exists in the eternal world in his original two-handed Shyam Sundar form. Very good. Now 34, so 34, Mayank, 34 translation. Anybody has questions on 33? So I said you can ask questions as we go along.
Prabhu, just a question, Prabhu. The forms in matter and transcendence. So we definitely have established God has no material form, material quality. So this is just the material universe we're talking about?
So everything in the material world happens by energies of the Lord. So we have discussed this as Vibhuti Yoga in Bhagavad Gita chapter 10, that whatever is manifested in the material world comes from a tiny spark of Krishna. He still is Vibhuti, still is part of Krishna through his energies, right? Not Krishna himself, but through his energies, everything is manifested in the material world. So that's how you understand the connection between the Lord's original Shyam Sundar form and whatever is existing in the material. Nitya?
Yes, Prabhu, thank
Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So we read that which you see now is also I. This is the Sambandha, right, Prabhuji?
Correct. Absolutely
current.
correct. Yeah, very good.
Thank you.
Mayank, 34 translation.
O Brahma, whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me, has no reality. Know it as my illusory energy, that reflection which appears to be in darkness.
Right, so 34 is all Lord's Maya, is Vigyan and Sambandh. That the Sambandh is clearly stated that if Lord's energy is not connected with the Lord, then it is illusion. It is just a reflection of reality, is just ignorance. So this 34 verse explains the Vijnana, the realization of the illusory potency of Maya that occurs by Lord's grace. So Krishna is teaching the truth that his form and qualities are different from matter. And therefore the Lord describes the qualities of the illusory energy, Maya. Questions, comments, realizations? Okay.
Hare Krishna. Sorry.
Go ahead, Pragya.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So that example of reflection which appears to be in darkness. So it's so beautiful actually. Actually, there's nothing. So if you think that there is a reflection in darkness, it has to be a hallucination or Maya or something. It
Yeah, very good.
cannot
Very good.
exist.
Thank you for listening with rapt attention. Very good. All right, verse 35. Let's see. Matan, 35 translation.
Verse 35. O Brahma, please know that the universal elements enter into the cosmos and at the same time do not enter into the cosmos. Similarly, I myself also exist within everything created and at the same time I am outside of everything.
So 2.9.35 is about Lord's activities in relation to Maya. His rahasyam, is confidential, is pure devotional service. So this is about prema bhakti and is prayojana. So Lord describes the secret, rahasyam, of the love for him. The most confidential and mysterious goal is prema bhakti. So this answers Brahmaji's question 3, that how does the Lord play with his different energies? Or what are the activities of the Lord in relation to Maya? And that's what is described in verse 35, that Krishna says the universal elements enter into the cosmos and at the same time do not enter. Similarly, I exist within everything created, as well as I am also outside of what everything is created in the material world. Questions, comments, realizations?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, this knowledge appears to be more of Gyan than Prem. So how do we get the Prem aspect of this, Prabhuji?
That's exactly his rahasyam, is the confidential, right? That's what Lord is explaining. That the mystery is prema bhakti, to understand that how do I act in the material world so that I can realize the existence, the presence of the Lord, so that I can do devotional service. That's the secret. That's what he's describing. That he exists within the cosmos, still he exists outside of everything. This is Achinta Bhed Abhed Tattva. Okay.
Ji, Prabhuji, then how do we connect it to Prem, Prabhuji?
So once you know that material world is coming from Krishna, is created by Krishna, is an activity of Krishna, he's playing with this energy just to satisfy our enjoying mentality. So we know that everything is coming from a tiny spark, and then we go, oh, wait a minute. All these zillions of beautiful manifestations in the material world are coming from a tiny spark of Krishna. Well, then how beautiful the whole Lord will be. Therefore, let me connect all the way to the Lord using the vibhutis in the material world. Then it becomes yoga, when you connect the Lord through the vibhutis. Otherwise, if you only focus on the vibhutis, then you are not going anywhere. You have to do that connection, the yoga part, through the vibhutis. Okay.
Okay, Prabhuji. So we understand that he's inside and he's outside, he's within and he's without. So that understanding develops our love for him.
Correct. So visualize for yourself. We have 4 defects. That I am illusioned. I have imperfect senses. I cheat. Right? So if I know Krishna is present, will I cheat? Any one of you?
No, Prabhuji.
Right?
Watching.
Yeah. If you know Krishna is all around us, will you cheat, rest of you? I get silent.
Prabhuji.
No,
No,
Prabhu.
Prabhuji.
Right?
We'll
So,
try to do better.
right. So right now your realization that what you have studied from scriptures is at the jnana level rather than at the vigyan level. Yeah, we have studied at great length. We have memorized verses, so many of them. But at least I do not feel the presence of Krishna around me. Therefore, I continue to cheat. Because vigyan has not yet happened. Realization has not yet happened that Krishna is watching me. Pragya.
Ji Prabhuji.
Shivangi.
Prabhuji, just wondering how different is this Catuh Sloki from the Bhagavad Gita one? Seems kind of similar.
Is identical. It's not similar, it's identical. Right? Bhagavad Gita Catuh Sloki verses also explain Sambandh, Abhideya, Prayojana. Bhagavatam Catuh Sloki are explaining the exact same point. Sambandh, Abhideya, Prayojana. Therefore, I asked all of you to refresh your memory from Bhagavad Gita Catuh Sloki verses. Some of you did. Some of you only focused on the literal read of the verses rather than focusing on Sambandh Gyan, Abhideya and Prayojana. So Shivangi is not similar, it's identical. Shivangi?
Yes, Prabhuji, but I guess it had to be repeated again here to understand it in the context of Bhagavatam. Whereas the Bhagavad Gita is a little bit more high level compared
Yeah,
to
yeah. So understand that Bhagavad Gita is ABCD and Bhagavatam is postgraduate. So ABCD, Krishna gave Catuh Sloki. Bhagavatam postgraduate, Krishna gave Catuh Sloki. Right? So you have to understand with the context, you are correct. But essentially, Bhagavad Gita Catuh Sloki explains Sambandh, Abhideya, Prayojana. Bhagavatam Catuh Sloki explains the exact same point, Sambandh, Abhideya, Prayojana. Everybody on the same page? Questions, comments, realizations so far?
Prabhuji, I just had one small question. So here in Bhagavatam, to Brahmaji, who is made up of intelligence, he is telling all this thing in concise 4 verses. Whereas in Srimad, in Bhagavad Gita, the entire Bhagavad Gita is spoken by him, including the Catuh Sloki.
Correct.
So there he sets, there he uses much more to explain and then comes to Catuh Sloki and further continues. Whereas here, this is the only thing he gives to Brahmaji. Is it because the receptor is different? One
Absolutely
is Brahmaji,
correct. Absolutely correct. That what's going on in Bhagavad Gita? That Krishna is first playing the role of a teacher of mind and sense control. Right? Krishna could have said Bhagavad Gita in one sentence. Drop everything and perform bhakti. That's not what Krishna did. Arjuna was that bodily concept of life. So Krishna first came down to Arjuna's level, explained why you are caught at bodily level, because you are thinking you are body, but the fact is you are not this body, you are soul. Therefore Krishna first spoke his first instruction. Dehino asmin yathade kaumaram yonam jana tatha dehantra prapti dhiras tatra namuyate. Then Krishna took him to Karma Kanda, that okay, if you want to enjoy, the Karma Kanda is your life. So Karma Kanda is first application of Atmagyan. Then comes to Nishkam Karma Yoga. That okay, if you understand your soul, then don't be fixed on just attaining material happiness. Go beyond material to attain eternal. Therefore, do Nishkam Karma Yoga with detachment. And then Krishna comes to Bhakti Yoga. So initially in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is only a teacher of mind and sense control. It's only when he reaches chapter 7, that's when he starts speaking Bhagavad Gita. So Pragya, Nitya and Vimal Prabhus, they listen to the Path 6 and 7 Bhagavad Gita revision classes. So we have completed up to chapter 6 and Yoga Ladder. And in the next class, I'm going to explain the same, and devotees are going to explain the same at the start of chapter 7, that now Krishna is going to explain how to do devotion in action. Right? So there was a progression because of the context that Arjuna was caught in bodily concept, and he had to get him out gradually. Meaning we all are also caught at bodily level. So we need a gradual pulling out of that bodily concept, right? Exactly what I asked a couple minutes ago. I cheat because I still don't have the realization that Krishna is present all around me, although theoretically I myself have explained so many times in so many batches through the Vibhuti Yoga discussions, right? Even now I am drinking water. Krishna says, I am the taste of water in chapter 7, verses 8, 9, and 10. But I don't feel the presence of Krishna because I still have contamination. Does that answer?
Yes, Prabhuji, very beautiful. Thank you.
All right. Who read the last and which verse did you read?
35, Prabhu.
Yeah, I did 35.
All right. Let's see. Okay, Malti, you have a question?
No, I was just saying Matan Prabhu read last.
Okay, Malti, you can read 36 translation.
36. A person who is searching after the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, must certainly search for it up to this in all circumstances, in all spaces and time, and the both directly and indirectly. Hare Krishna.
So 2.9.36 is about Tad Angam, is about sadhana, bhakti, is abhideya, that one must search after the absolute truth. And this search is by sadhana bhakti. So this is abhideya. And if we do not perform sadhana bhakti, then we will not get the spiritual results. Meaning what Krishna is saying, practice sadhana bhakti seriously. And that bhakti has to be performed in all circumstances. And for the last question of Brahmaji from verse 30, that how Brahmaji should not get pride, the Lord said that concentrate on these Catuh Sloki verses that I have told you, then there will be no pride. Questions, comments, realizations? Everybody on the same page?
Yes,
Ji Prabhuji, absorbing the intense discussion.
You are correct. This is intense discussion. And although the subject matter is intense, and why it is more intense is because I have spoken in concentrated form. I have spoken a little bit. I have not spoken everything. If you follow the purports of these Catuh Sloki verses, they are very long purports. Read as part of your homework again the purports, and you will realize that Prabhupada has given a lot of details. I didn't touch base on all. I only skimmed through some important points. All right. So I've explained so many times. I'm not going to say it again, but I'll just highlight the need for revising Bhagavad Gita again and again. Right? Even before this Catuh Sloki, I asked all of you so many times to refresh your memory from Catuh Sloki Bhagavad Gita, and many of you simply focused on the literal read of the verses. Even though I message to all of you that Catuh Sloki Bhagavad Gita is way beyond just the literal read of the verses, still you didn't follow. And Krishna clearly said in 2.9.36, practice bhakti seriously. So ask yourself, are you practicing bhakti seriously or coming to put a tick mark? It's only Pragya, Nitya, and Vimal Prabhus from this batch who are listening to the Bhagavad Gita revision recordings of batch 6 and 7. The revisions are going on right now. The option is available for everyone. But not everybody is interested, so I don't push anybody. So follow what Krishna has said, that practice bhakti seriously. All right, we have little over 5 more minutes. Would you like me to answer some of the inquiries?
Ji Prabhuji.
Okay. Question number 1. When will Ashwatthama be freed from the curse? In Lord Krishna's lifetime, who all got cursed by Lord Krishna or has cursed Lord Krishna? So Ashwatthama's punishment is to live in the same body on this earth for 36,000 years. I do not have a laundry list of who all got cursed. So we know Ashwatthama got cursed, and we also know Krishna got cursed by Gandhari. Now, instead of the laundry list, more important is to understand that curse from Krishna and or pure devotees are actually blessings. Example, the 2 sons of Kuvera got cursed by Srila Narad Muni to live as trees in Nand Maharaj's backyard, resulting in these two getting first-hand view of Krishna's loving, relishable childhood pastimes, as well as these two got delivered by Krishna himself. So how was this a curse? To stand as trees? No, it was a blessing. Does that answer the inquiry? All right, question number 2. Can a deeply spiritual person get to know beforehand what a person in front of him is about to speak? So we'll soon read from Bhagavatam 4.8.25, which describes that pure devotees like Srila Narad Muni are Trikalgya. He is so powerful that he can understand the past, present, and future of everyone's heart, just like Super Soul. So pure devotees already know what is in the heart of all living beings. Krishna consciousness Parampara system is the system of connection of the heart. So upon initiation, spiritual masters and disciples' heart get connected. Therefore, spiritual master, who is also Paramatma manifestation, already knows what is in the heart of the disciple. So I have 4.8.25 on the screen. So this is Narad Muni speaking to Dhruv Maharaj, that Narad Muni is spiritual master of Dhruv Maharaj. So what had happened was Dhruv Maharaj got chastised by his stepmother Suruchi, but Narad Muni was not present there. But when Narad Muni comes in front of Dhruv Maharaj in the forest, Narad Muni is already describing what all happened between Dhruv Maharaj and his father Uttanapada and the stepmother Suruchi. So how does Narad Muni know? Because he is Trikal Gaya. He already knows past, present and future of all living entities. Gauri, faster pace, translation, purport from the screen, 4.8.25.
The great sage Narad overheard this news, and understanding all the activities of Dhruv Maharaj, he was struck with wonder. He approached Dhruv and, touching the boy's head with all virtuous hands, he spoke as follows. When Dhruv Maharaj was talking with his mother Suniti of all the incidents that had taken place in the palace, Narad was not present. Thus the question may be raised how Narad overheard these topics. The answer is that Narad is Trikalajan. No, he is so powerful that he can understand the past, present, future of everyone's heart, just like the super soul, the supreme personality of Godhead. Therefore, after understanding the strong determination of Dhruv Maharaj, Narad came to help him. It may be explained in this way. The supreme personality of Godhead is present in everyone's heart. And as soon as he understands that a living entity is serious about entering devotional service, he sends his representative. In this way, Narad was sent to Dhruv Maharaj. This is an explanation in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Guru Krishna Prasade Priya Bhakti Lata Bij. By the grace of the spiritual master and Krishna, one can enter into devotional service. Because of Dhruv Maharaj's determination, Krishna, the super soul, immediately sent his representative Narad to initiate him.
Guru Krishna Prasad Paye Bhakti Lata Bij. Does that answer the inquiry? All right. So we are just about at 9 o'clock Toronto time. The last thing I will give you is the link for the Holy Kirtan event. So I posted in the link. If anybody is interested to contribute, you can please contribute. There is no pressure from me. It's whatever you feel like contributing. So this is the accountants group where I am part of. And when you will click that link, it will first validate you through a one-time passcode coming to your phone. Originally, it was only restricted to the Canadian number. I did ask them to open it. So you can try, and if not, you can connect with some devotee locally here in Toronto if you are interested to contribute. Are we okay to stop here?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.